Checkout tracking by the NPD Group brings you a receipt collecting system that gathers data anonymously through technology we created, providing your businesses with answers.
Thank you, and thanks for everyone in the room's patience for the technical difficulties earlier. I'm here to talk about how your freemium app is leaving money on the table. I work for Tapjoy. Hopefully everybody has some knowledge of what Tapjoy has done in the past. We started off as a ad monetization company working with game publishers, helping them make more money. We've expanded into that a little bit more capability of what we do. So let's talk about that. First and foremost, your goal as an app developer is to build the widest audience that you can and then figure out how to monetize that audience. However, only a small percentage of your users are going to be actual spenders. And that's a big problem for you. And one of the ways that people try to solve that problem is they try to focus on two goals. One of those goals is making sure that they can increase the number of spenders, so create more converters. One of the other goals that they have is to get their spenders to spend more. And that's, those are the whales that everybody targets in the industry. But what that is leaving behind is the people who never spend and won't ever spend. And so what we want to talk about today is how do you get those people to monetize in your app or in your game. At Tapjoy, as I mentioned earlier, we started off, everybody knew us for our offer wall, where users would complete offers and gain rewards in the game that they were in and monetize. We've expanded out our ad capabilities quite a bit. We've got rewarded video, we've got full screen interstitials, but we wanted to branch out past ad monetization, and we looked for a partner in the space that would help us do that. And last year, we partnered with a company called 5rocks, which is an analytics company out of South Korea. And since then, we've built the two platforms together so that we've got the capabilities that we wanted to bring to everybody to help them maximize the value of every one of their users. And so what we did is we went and looked at how could we do that? What would be valuable to people? And we wanted to have a basic user behavior analytics section for people to understand what their game is doing. We wanted to be able to deeply segment users, and I'll get into reasons for that later on. We wanted to provide marketing automation that would allow you to reach users who are currently active inside your game and also not active in your game. And we wanted to do that through in-app messaging, promotions, and push. And then, of course, we already had a very strong ad monetization platform, but we wanted to roll all of that capability together. And so now we're throwing the slogan out there, the only complete marketing automation and monetization platform for freemium mobile apps. And freemium is really where we focus because that's the opportunity that's got the largest user base. Those are the people who aren't paying, they haven't interacted with your IAP, and you're trying to figure out how to make money off of them. Most companies look at a couple things. They're looking at revenue. They might be looking at their ARPDAU. And those are interesting, but they're really just what happened today, what happened last week, how do those compare? And we like to say that data alone is not an insight. You have to have that data and something to do with that data. It has to be actionable. If you just have data, you don't know what to do. You can't figure out how to take that next step forward. Let's talk about the biggest problem in freemium. It's not a secret that in this industry, fewer than 5% of customers on average spend. And actually, if you look across the ecosystem, the average is about 3.5% of your customers are actually going to become spenders. It's even worse if you look at it on a daily basis. On a daily basis, the average title has about 1.4% of their customers spending. Big problem. Huge opportunity, though. And 98.6% of your people that you can figure out how to convert or how to ad monetize. Let's dig in a little bit on that 3.5% average spenders. If you take a look at those, we've broken this pie chart down into how many times did that 3.5% spend. And you can see that over half of them spent only 1 or 2 times. So those are clearly not going to be your most valuable or your most loyal users. And the remaining just under half spent 3+ times. And those are the ones that are going to end up being your most valuable and loyal users. And there's a strong correlation with lifetime value, of course, for that third spend. You can tell that a game is going to be successful if you're converting a higher percentage of your users into the third spend, and you can tell that the users that you gathered are going to be valuable too, and you can convert them to a third spend. But in order to have a third conversion, you have to end up with a first conversion. You're not going to get there otherwise. And what we want to be able to help you do is figure out how to activate those early users to become first payers. And that's where our marketing automation comes in and allows you to send a push notification early on that might direct users into the store or a specific item, a specific sale, and help them become converters. The traditional view of spenders in the industry has been broken down into these categories. There's the non-payers, the people who will never pay. There's the minnows. Those are traditionally the guys who are spending maybe once or twice, or they're buying 99-cent options, $2.99 options, low spenders. You've got the dolphins who are valuable but not your biggest value. And then you've got the whales who are the people who spend the most. And that's all great, and people look at that way, but we want to look at it a different way. And what we want to do now is break it out not into just historical revenue, which is how you're tracking whether they're currently non-spenders, minnows, dolphins, or whales, but also what's the predicted future value of those people. And you can break it down. Don't get hung up on what the numbers are here. It's more about what do those numbers mean for your game. So what does your game consider a whale or a dolphin? And you end up with different types of groups when you look at it that way. You end up with a group in the upper right-hand corner who have spent a lot of money already and are predicted to continue to spend a lot of money. And those are your true whales. You have another group that have spent a lot of money traditionally, and they're predicted to either spend no more money or a very low amount of money compared to what they've been spending more before, and those are your beached whales. You've got the group that's spent very little or none and will never spend, and those are your never spenders. And then you've got the people that we're terming rookies. So maybe they haven't spent yet, or they spent very, very little, but they have a propensity to become dolphins or whales in the future, and you want to encourage that. If we look at this particular future value map here, you can see this is into the game a little bit. Not all your non-spenders are created equal. So we've got this group, the entire left-hand column they haven't spent yet. None of them have. But with our future value map that we've got, we're able to predict that about 7% of those people are going to become spenders. And that predicted 7% segment allows you to take an action to encourage them, to help them make that conversion and become in the next category over. And that particular conversion would probably be something we talked about earlier, where you're going to send them a push notification, let them know there's an IAP sale going on, or some other kind of a screen or event in the game that's going to encourage them to make that very first purchase. One thing that a lot of companies are doing is spending all of their time focusing on the whales. And again, you've got the whales who aren't going to spend particularly much anymore. You've got the whales who are going to continue to spend. Can't take your eye off either of those two groups. But it leaves out another group that people don't always spend a lot of energy on, and that's the dolphins. And out of those, almost 3/4 of these dolphins here in this particular slide are the ones that you should focus on. You've got that bottom column, the bottom of the column there. Those dolphins are predicted not to spend again. But the remaining portion, you want to figure out how to convert those guys over into whales. And so again, you might have a really big event for them to get them over the hurdle of that first really large spend, or that time between spends that they've been doing in the past that's kept them in the dolphin range. And then you've got the people who have or haven't spent but aren't going to ever spend again. And you've got the non-spenders group, but you've also got some people who have fallen out of your game in some way, whether they're minnows, dolphins, or whales. We've now predicted that these guys aren't going to ever spend again, and the right thing to do with them is to monetize them with ads. And frankly, unless your game has really high social reasons to have these continue to stay in the game, it doesn't matter at what level you monetize them with ads. You're not going to risk another IAP transaction, and if you happen to lose them, you haven't lost any future spend. You can also use the future value map. It'll change over time. You can use it to figure out what it is that you should be doing in your game. So we've got 60 days for map launch on the left. We've got what we'll just call end of life cycle for the app on the right. That's obviously going to widely vary between the success of a given app. But you can see here that on the left-hand side, we've got Again, we've got 83% currently aren't spending, and there's some people who are spending at different levels. Later on in the game, we're down to, this is an app that's been around a while, and the people who are coming in very casually. They're not spending at all. We've got almost 99% of the people aren't spending, and you're going to have a very different strategy for that point for most of those different segments than you would early on in the game. I'm not going to show you a demo here. First of all, I would have run out of time. But and it's just not as interesting as doing it in person. Our booth is just inside the hall here. Big red sign, can't miss us. If you want to see how our placement platform, how our custom events and funnels, how our push works, please come by and talk to us. And that's it for the presentation. I'd love to take any questions from the audience about anything that here or anything you'd like to hear about one-on-one. Yep. Hang on. She wants the microphone, yeah.
So it's regarding what happened to that reward wall? Is that just basically not working anymore? Because it used to be, I mean, how successful is it compared to other stuff? Because
our offer wall is doing great business still.
Okay.
We have a lot of partners using it. We have it's always full. We have like 100% fill offers. We're doing very, very well there.
What's the conversion there, if it's allowed to ask?
Yeah, so conversion is an interesting thing to provide there. So it depends on what metrics you're looking at. If you look at how many users are going in on the offer wall on a given day, that varies between 5 and 15% in a typical app. And then it'll depend on what the economy is for the app and whether or not they want to convert for the offers they've got in front of them. We've got offers that are really lightweight and offer a low amount of currency, such as video offers, and then we've got longer offers, such as surveys or other things.
And the last question, what are like the top 2-3 offers that are most popular that you can remember? Like you have a lot of offers in the reward wall. What kind of content or what is the players mostly click on and say, yeah, I want that?
Great question.
Is it a McDonald's or a Big Mac, whatever?
We've got a terrific mix of both brand and game in our offer wall and in our advertising network in general. The types of things that people want to interact with really vary on what it is that they want to accomplish in the game. They're opting into this offer wall for a reason, for the reward. And so if they're there to get just a couple of gems to get them past the next thing they need to do, they'll probably interact with our video ads, and those might be for, the big guys like Machine Zone. They might be for a brand like Amazon that wants to run something there. If they're there to get a really large stash, then they're going to take something that maybe it's a survey or things like that.
Okay, thank you.